Welcome back to the channel USA Coins, treasure hunters and passionate numismatists. Today we're diving into the United States of America 1967 Roosevelt One Dime Coin with no mint mark, a fascinating piece struck during one of the most unusual periods in U.S. coinage history and a coin that deserves far more attention than it usually gets. The year 1967 falls right in the middle of a dramatic time for American coins, when the country was facing a serious coin shortage and the U.S. Mint made major changes to how coins were produced and marked, creating conditions that make this dime especially interesting to collectors today. Because this coin carries no mint mark, it was produced under special circumstances at the Philadelphia Mint, during a period when mint marks were intentionally removed from coins to discourage hoarding, making every dime from this era part of a unique historical experiment, one of the most important things collectors love about the 1967 Roosevelt dime is its metal composition, because it is struck in 90% silver, giving it intrinsic value beyond its face value and connecting it to the final years of circulating U.S. silver coinage. On the obverse, the portrait of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt appears dignified and strong, and collectors carefully study the sharpness of his hair, the clarity of his eye, and the smoothness of his cheek, because these fine details fade quickly once a coin enters circulation. Flip the coin over and you'll see the Torch of Liberty flanked by olive and oak branches, symbolizing freedom, peace, and strength, and collectors pay close attention to the sharpness of the flame, the leaves, and the lettering, because weak strikes were common during this period of rushed production. Although millions of 1967 dimes were produced, true rarity begins when condition is considered, because most examples were heavily circulated, stacked, counted, and exchanged endlessly, leaving very few coins today with strong detail and original mint luster. High-grade examples stand out dramatically, especially those with clean surfaces, minimal contact marks, and full design detail, making them far more desirable to collectors building high-quality Roosevelt dime sets. What truly excites collectors are the mint errors known to exist on 1967 Roosevelt dimes, because errors transform ordinary coins into extraordinary collectibles that tell a story of what went wrong inside the mint. Collectors hunt for double die errors showing visible doubling on lettering or Roosevelt's features, off-center strikes that shift the design noticeably, clipped planchets missing part of the coin, lamination errors where the silver appears cracked or peeling, and weak or misaligned strikes that create unusual and fascinating textures. Because these coins were produced during a time of extreme demand and high-speed production, errors slipped through more easily, making genuine error examples especially exciting and collectible today. Another factor that adds intrigue is the existence of special strike examples from this era, which were produced with better-than-average quality and sharper details, making them highly sought after by collectors who know how to spot them. For collectors who love silver coins, history, and the thrill of the hunt, the 1967 Roosevelt dime offers all three, combining precious metal content with a unique historical background and the possibility of rare varieties. This coin also teaches an important lesson in numismatics, that rarity is not always about age alone, but about condition, strike quality, and unusual characteristics that most people overlook. Seasoned collectors appreciate how a beautiful 1967 dime can shine in a collection, while newer collectors love that it offers an affordable entry into silver coin collecting with real upside potential. Now comes the moment every coin lover waits for, because in today's real market, a 1967 Roosevelt dime in circulated condition is typically worth several dollars based on its silver content, while uncirculated examples can reach values into the tens of dollars, and high-grade certified specimens, special strike examples, or dramatic mint error coins have achieved auction prices climbing into the hundreds of dollars. So the next time you spot a Roosevelt dime dated 1967, don't ignore it. Don't underestimate it, and don't rush past it, because that small silver coin could be holding history, rarity, and real value in the palm of your hand. Today we're exploring the United States of America 1975 Roosevelt One Dime Coin with no mint mark, a small but fascinating piece of American coinage that quietly reflects a unique period in U.S. mint history and still sparks curiosity among collectors today. The year 1975 came during a time when the United States had fully moved away from silver circulating dimes, and the mint was focused on producing massive quantities of clad coinage to meet everyday demand. which means most of these dimes were heavily used and rarely saved. Because this coin carries no mint mark, it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and during this era, Philadelphia produced enormous numbers of dimes, but high production does not guarantee high survival in excellent condition, especially for a coin that passed endlessly through circulation. On the obverse, the familiar portrait of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt stands proudly, and collectors carefully study the sharpness of his hair, the definition of his facial features, and the smoothness of the fields, because even small differences in strike quality can make a big difference in collector desirability. Turning the coin over reveals the iconic Torch of Liberty, flanked by olive and oak branches symbolizing peace and strength, and this is where experienced collectors slow down and inspect every detail. Because weak strikes were common during the 1970s, making sharp flames, crisp leaves, and clean lettering far harder to find than most people realize. Although millions of 1975 Roosevelt dimes were minted, true rarity begins when condition is considered, because most examples show heavy wear, contact marks, and dull surfaces from years of everyday use. Finding an uncirculated example with full original mint luster, clean surfaces, and strong design details can be surprisingly difficult, especially when searching through rolls, old jars, or inherited collections decades later. What truly excites collectors about the 1975 no-mint mark Roosevelt dime is the potential for mint errors, because errors transform ordinary pocket change into standout collectibles that can command serious attention. Collectors search carefully for double die errors showing visible doubling on lettering or Roosevelt's features, off-center strikes where the design is clearly shifted, clipped planchets missing part of the coin, lamination errors where the metal layers separate or peel, and weak or misaligned strikes that create unusual and fascinating appearances. These errors occurred during moments when something went wrong inside the mint, and because such coins were never meant to exist, surviving examples are scarce and highly desirable to error collectors. Coins that combine a bold, visible error with strong overall condition are especially prized, because they offer both rarity and eye appeal, two qualities collectors constantly look for. The 1975 Roosevelt dime also holds importance for collectors building complete date and mint mark sets, because upgrading from a worn circulated coin to a sharply struck, attractive example can take patience and dedication. For newer collectors, this coin teaches a valuable lesson that not all valuable coins are old or made of silver, but instead gain value through condition, rarity, and unusual characteristics hidden in plain sight. Seasoned collectors appreciate how a beautiful 1975 dime can stand out in a collection, proving that even modern-era clad coins can be exciting, challenging, and rewarding to collect. Now comes the moment every coin lover waits for, because in today's real market, a 1975 no-mint mark Roosevelt dime in circulated condition is generally worth face value, while uncirculated examples can reach values of several dollars, and high-grade certified specimens or dramatic mint error coins have achieved auction prices ranging from tens of dollars to hundreds of dollars in exceptional cases. So the next time you see a Roosevelt dime dated 1975, don't ignore it, don't underestimate it, and don't rush past it, because hidden value often lives inside the smallest coins. Today we're diving deep into a coin that might seem ordinary at first glance, but hides history, rarity, and collector value in every detail. The United States of America 1976 Roosevelt One Dime with the D mint mark, a coin that tells the story of modern American coinage while still exciting collectors today. The year 1976 was a very special year in American history, marking the nation's bicentennial, a time of pride, celebration, and reflection on 200 years of independence, and coins minted this year carry a unique place in history, making them far more interesting to collectors than everyday circulation coins. This Roosevelt dime was struck at the Denver Mint, identified by its D mint mark, and while millions were produced to meet the needs of everyday commerce, the combination of high demand and rapid production meant that most coins were circulated heavily, leaving only a fraction in pristine condition today. On the obverse, we see the timeless portrait of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and collectors carefully examine every detail from the sharpness of his hair to the definition of his cheek and jawline, because well-preserved details significantly increase a coin's collector appeal. Turning the coin over, the Torch of Liberty stands tall between the olive and oak branches, symbolizing peace, strength, and freedom. And experts look closely at the sharpness of the flame, the edges of the leaves, and the clarity of the lettering, because crisp designs are surprisingly rare on circulated 1976 dimes. Although many people might consider this coin common because of its high mintage, true rarity is determined by condition, and the majority of 1976 Roosevelt dimes show wear, scratches, and dull surfaces after decades of handling, making uncirculated examples far more valuable to collectors. Collectors get especially excited about the errors found on some 1976 Roosevelt dimes, because these mistakes can transform a normal dime into a highly desirable collectible with unique characteristics that are impossible to replicate. Common mint errors include double die strikes, where you can see noticeable doubling on Roosevelt's profile or the lettering, off-center strikes where the design is shifted away from the center of the coin, clipped planchets that result in missing sections of metal, lamination errors where the metal peels or cracks, and weak or misaligned strikes that create unusual textures and visual interest. Each of these errors represents a fascinating story of what happened inside the mint, a momentary lapse in production that created something rare and collectible, and because such coins were never intended to leave the mint, they're highly sought after today. The 1976 Roosevelt dime is also a favorite for collectors who want to build complete date and mint mark sets, because upgrading from a circulated coin to a sharp, uncirculated example with strong details can take patience, research, and a trained eye. For new collectors, this coin is a perfect example that value is not always determined by age or silver content, but by condition, rarity, and unique features that stand out among thousands of ordinary coins. Seasoned collectors love how a well-preserved 1976 dime can shine in a collection, especially when it has strong strike quality, full original luster, and any minor mint error, showing that even coins from the modern era can be exciting, challenging, and rewarding to collect. Now comes the moment every coin lover has been waiting for, because in today's real market, a 1976 Roosevelt dime in circulated condition is generally worth only face value, while uncirculated examples can reach several dollars, and rare high-grade certified specimens or error coins have been known to achieve auction prices ranging from tens of dollars to hundreds of dollars, depending on their condition and rarity. So the next time you spot a Roosevelt dime dated 1976 with a D mint mark, don't overlook it, don't underestimate it, and don't rush past it, because hidden value and history can often be found in the coins most people spend without a second thought. Today we're diving deep into a coin that might look ordinary at first glance, but holds fascinating surprises for collectors who know what to look for: the United States of America 1982 Roosevelt One Dime with the D mint mark, a coin that quietly carries history, subtle variations, and hidden value. The year 1982 was a fascinating time for American coinage, because it came during a period of high circulation and rising interest in collecting, meaning millions of these dimes were produced for everyday use, yet many of them never survived in pristine condition, making the strongest examples surprisingly rare. This coin was struck at the Denver Mint, proudly marked with the D mint mark, and while production numbers were high to meet public demand, speed and efficiency sometimes led to weak strikes, die wear, and minor variations that can make a big difference to serious collectors. On the obverse, we see the familiar portrait of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and collectors examine every tiny detail carefully, from the sharpness of his hair to the clarity of his eye and the smoothness of his cheek, because small differences in strike quality can significantly affect the coin's value. Flipping the coin over, Monticello is displayed on the reverse with its classic torch of liberty flanked by olive and oak branches, and experts look for strong definition in the steps, columns, and leaves, because a crisp reverse design is much rarer than many people think on circulated 1982 Roosevelt dimes. Although this coin is often considered common because of its high mintage, true rarity is revealed when condition comes into play, because most coins from this year were heavily handled, acquiring scratches, dull surfaces, and flattened details that reduce collector appeal dramatically. High-grade examples with original mint luster, sharp details, and clean surfaces are much harder to find than casual collectors realize, and that scarcity is what drives real collector demand for the 1982 dime. What makes this coin even more exciting are the mint errors that occasionally appear, because errors transform an everyday dime into a unique collectible that tells a story of what went wrong inside the mint and instantly attracts collector attention. Collectors search for double die errors that show visible doubling on Roosevelt's profile or the lettering, off-center strikes that noticeably shift the design, clipped planchets that result in missing sections of the coin, lamination errors where the metal peels or cracks, and weak or misaligned strikes that create unusual textures and visual effects. Each error tells a story of a brief production mishap frozen in time, and surviving examples are rare and highly desirable, especially when they are bold, eye-catching, and accompanied by strong overall strike quality. The 1982 D Roosevelt Dime also holds special appeal for collectors. Building complete modern-date sets, because upgrading from a circulated coin to an uncirculated or error example can take years of patient searching, rewarding collectors with a real sense of achievement. For newer collectors, this coin demonstrates a crucial lesson in numismatics. Value is not always tied to age or silver content, but often comes from condition, rarity, and unique characteristics that most people overlook, showing that even modern coins can become collector treasures. Seasoned collectors love how a beautifully preserved 1982 D dime can stand out in a collection, especially when it has full original luster, strong details, and a minor error, proving that even modern coins have the power to surprise and delight. Now comes the moment every coin lover has been waiting for, because in today's real market, a 1982 D Roosevelt dime in circulated condition is generally worth only face value, while uncirculated examples can reach several dollars. And high-grade certified coins or dramatic mint error specimens have achieved auction prices ranging from tens of dollars to hundreds of dollars, depending on condition and rarity. So the next time a Roosevelt dime dated 1982 with a D mint mark passes through your hands, don't overlook it, don't underestimate it, and don't rush past it, because even small modern coins can hide real value, rare errors, and fascinating collector appeal. Today we're diving deep into a coin that many people overlook but is full of hidden surprises for collectors who know how to look carefully: the United States of America 1999 Roosevelt One Dime with the P mint mark, a coin that quietly holds history, collector value, and fascinating minting details. The year 1999 marked the end of a decade full of change, growth, and rapid economic developments in the United States, and coins from this period reflect a modern era of high production and circulation. Yet some examples manage to escape heavy handling, creating opportunities for collectors today. This Roosevelt dime was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, identified by its P mint mark, and while millions were produced to meet the demands of everyday commerce, not all coins were created equal, because production speed, die wear, and quality control led to subtle variations that can dramatically impact value for collectors. On the obverse, the familiar portrait of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt appears, and serious collectors study every detail carefully, from the sharpness of his hair to the clarity of his eye, jawline, and cheek, because well-struck features separate a standard coin from one that could command attention in a collection. Turning the coin over reveals Monticello, Jefferson's historic home, standing proudly with the Torch of Liberty flanked by olive and oak branches, and experts examine the design closely, looking for sharp steps, crisp columns, and clear lettering, because fully defined details are surprisingly rare in circulated coins from this era. Although the 1999 P Roosevelt dime is often considered common due to its high mintage, true rarity is determined by condition, and most examples were heavily circulated, acquiring scratches, dull surfaces, and flattened details that reduce collector appeal dramatically. Collectors are especially excited about the potential for mint errors on this coin, because errors transform an everyday dime into a rare collectible that can tell a story of what went wrong inside the mint and instantly capture collector interest. Some of the most sought-after errors include double die strikes, where visible doubling occurs on Roosevelt's profile or the lettering, off-center strikes where the design is noticeably shifted, clipped planchets that leave parts of the coin missing, lamination errors where the metal separates or peels, and weak or misaligned strikes that create unusual textures or visual interest. These errors are never intentional, making surviving examples rare and highly desirable, and collectors know that coins with clear, bold errors combined with strong overall condition are the crown jewels of any modern dime collection. The 1999 P Roosevelt dime also holds special importance for collectors building complete modern-date sets, because upgrading from a worn, circulated coin to an uncirculated or error example requires patience, knowledge, and a trained eye, rewarding collectors with a real sense of achievement. For new collectors, this coin is a perfect reminder that value is not always about age, silver content, or historical significance alone, but often comes from condition, uniqueness, and subtle characteristics that most people overlook in everyday change. Seasoned collectors appreciate how a well-preserved 1999 dime can shine in a collection, especially when it features full original luster, strong design details, and any minor error, proving that even coins from the modern era can offer excitement, challenge, and long-term collector appeal. Now comes the moment every coin lover has been waiting for, because in today's real market, a 1999 Roosevelt dime in circulated condition is generally worth only face value, while uncirculated examples can reach several dollars, and high-grade certified coins or rare mint error specimens have achieved auction prices ranging from tens of dollars to hundreds of dollars depending on condition, strike quality, and rarity. So the next time you spot a Roosevelt dime dated 1999 with a P mint mark, don't rush past it, don't underestimate it, and don't overlook it, because hidden value, unique mint errors, and collector potential often live in the coins most people spend without a second thought. And if you enjoyed this detailed exploration into American coin treasures, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another fascinating discovery hiding in your pocket change.